second language, and he has a long list of publications. I don't think I am able to finish reading all of them, but let me mention just a few titles, especially his translation. I think he is the translator of Zigzag and Spiva in China, right? But more recently, I think he has come up with his translation of Joyce Carol's The Falls and E.L. Doctorow's Creationist Selected Essays, and also The Secret River by Kate Granville, who happens to be an Australian writer who I think the book was shortlisted or long-listed in Booker Prize some years ago. Without much ado, let me give you Professor Kuala Minju University.
All right, I'll focus on the theme of our roundtable discussion. The question is Asian American Studies in the area of globalization, tasks, and possibilities. So when I'm looking at this topic, I'm thinking about two questions. What kind of tasks? And also, is it possible? For Asian American Studies in the area of globalization, to me, at least it has three keywords. Number one, it is the awareness. Well, you know, Asian American Studies is a very broad definition, which we can insert a lot of other, definitions in it, like Asian American Literary Studies, Asian American Cultural Studies, politics, economics, or whatever. So it's a very broad definition. But why do we choose Asian American Studies right here? Because we have the kinship. In some sense, we're related to that. But even so, I'm thinking about we must be aware that whatever they are having the kinship, they are American studies. For example, Asian American Literary Studies. This is part of American literature. So I think awareness of this is very important. Well, second of all, in the area of globalization, I'm thinking about one keyword is uncertainty. In this world, we all know it's a very rapidly changing world. And we are becoming a global village. It seems to be that you can go anywhere, from everywhere. But we also have this kind of tendency that people are becoming more and more confronted, which also lead to more controversy, conflict, clash, war, and death. So on one side, it is becoming more and more the same due to the globalization. But on the other side, this world is also becoming more and more diversity and multicultural. So here is also the keyword of this area of globalization, that uncertainty. It becomes more and more uncertain about this world, about the common questions that we confronted. Just like, in previous years, I would like to say that, oh, I'm so certain, I'm sure. But it seems to be that today we would like to say, oh, I'm not so sure, and I don't know, even. So I think uncertainty is the key word for current situation and also for the future world. Then, what's the use of studying or teaching Asian American studies in the area of globalization? We need to know, or even at least we are supposed to be aware that we're in a world which is becoming a global village. But Asian countries, and also US, tradition which might easily and more naturally make them disconnected rather than connected. For example, in terms of Asian American literature, we can also see today a lot of demonization of the images from both sides, not to mention the political image from both sides. Then I'm thinking about what is the task as the scholar, as the teacher of of Asian American studies. I think the tasks include, but not limited to build up a stage or a forum to have conversation, to find different channels to make people, especially statesmen, to communicate, and to bridge the gap between the two, or the three, or even more, and also to teach students to learn to look at both Asia or Asians, and also America from different and multiple perspectives. So I'm also thinking about why we are here. As scholars and teachers and researchers, our job is to conduct such research. But it is not only that. And we also have the obligations and responsibilities to our discipline, to our students, and also to the world progress. So in the area of globalization, I think globalization, for all the questions and problems, is not the solution. So I'm thinking that globalization is not the solution. But the area of globalization can really offer us some opportunities for people to move from each other and to each other. And also can make people sit together to have a face-to-face communication, to have a dialogue, to have a talk, to have a compromise, and to make a deal. What I want to say is, in the area of globalization, in terms of all the questions and the problems, at least we can conclude we agree to disagree. Thank you.
Okay, let's come to our final speaker, my old friend. I have known Hyungji for many decades. 2 or 3 decades, I think.